Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
Coming up on Gamers Week podcast. Sega is considering launching its own Netflix-like subscription service for video games. Sega president. I'm reading, like, I'm looking at his name, and all of a sudden, president comes out as president because it's Shuji Utsumi, and I'm President Shuji Utsumi. Sega has been somehow losing confidence, Utsumi said, saying that Sega has been putting too much focus on domestic success in Japan and needs to reestablish itself on a global stage. I want to make Sega really shiny again, he said. Well, you got to polish it. You got to spit polish it.
Give a little hawk to her.
Exactly.
I hate myself for saying it.
See, still relevant. Well, whenever you guys are ready, we can jump on in.
Rolling.
When are we ever not
Man, my ass
ready?
is swollen. Oh, I'm ready.
Hold on. What did you say? Did you say rollin', get up in this colon?
I said, man, my ass is swollen, but...
Oh, okay.
It's kind of the same path.
Yeah, the heart hears what it wants, I guess.
As a hero, I was thinking things you start singing when they've given you the first like huffs of gas before your colonoscopy, but you're not quite under.
Hey, Doc, rollin', get up in this colon, roll high.
Exactly.
Howdy, everybody.
Hello. Happy New Year, everyone.
Guys. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Merry New Year.
In this country, we say happy. Happy New Year.
Yeah. On that note, let's go ahead and get started with our first episode of the new year of 2025. Holy crap, I can actually say it's 2025 now. Jesus.
Yeah.
Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 146?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then I messed up. Okay, sorry. I put 145 on the thing. It's 146. And today is Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. Well, my name is donniegretro, and I will be your host this evening, but I am not alone, as you can see. I have with me my two very gracious co-hosts who I wouldn't want to spend the new year without. We have Ryan Payne, aka retrogamebrews, and Blue Williams, aka wrytersview, my two favorite co-hosts in the world, and I get to start the year off fresh and right with them. How are you guys doing this evening?
I don't know. I'm feeling a little strange. I feel like we're kicking us off on maybe the wrong foot. You being nice to us.
Exactly.
This is a new
now I'm
thing.
suspicious. Now I'm on guard.
New year.
What's happening?
Right. New year, new you, Donnie.
Where's Donnie? What have you done with him?
Well, if you don't play my game correctly, I press this button and something happens.
That looks like the remote control for a vibrator. Gotta be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we have to pretend not to like it?
Yeah. Press. Yeah. Oh, God, I did this wrong.
Oh, I did it very right.
Yeah, or that too. So today is not just New Year's Day. We are also celebrating the 3rd anniversary of the launch of Gamers Week podcast. We launched this podcast on January 7th, 2022. And since then, we've had 146 episodes, 40,000 downloads, 121 very important polls, 92 uncut episodes, 72 gaming history segments, 37 guest hosts, including one dog, 28 retro rewinds, one episode that Donnie recorded while drunk off his ass that we know of, and approximately 6,437,159 Yoshi noises.
That was just a ballpark.
Give yourselves a round of applause.
I think those are rookie numbers for this racket.
Yeah, we gotta pump that up.
We gotta pump those numbers up.
In 3 more years, we'll have more than doubled them. Just watch. Our investments will pay off here.
Hashtag goals. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our reviews, reactions, and requests. Go Hobo Go says, I love how in one segment the boys talk about modern pop culture jokes in games not aging well, but then in the next segment, one of the guys drops a 30-year-old pop culture old dirty bastard shimmy shimmy yaw joke.
I wonder which one of you that was. Can't quite remember.
I don't know. We didn't keep the receipts for that one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Gaming and Gain says, if you're going to do crime, make it funny. Great line. I mean, right?
I think we need that on bumper sticker, honestly.
Ryan's the one that coined it, so if he wants to create some bumper stickers and with the GWP logo, then we'll get those out.
I'll see what I can do.
All right. That's corporate speak. That's the second time Ryan has used corporate speak on me this week.
You keep falling for it.
I do.
As stated
but I speak
before.
Yeah. Dick. And last but not least, on YouTube, someone says, Hi, Gamers Week podcast. Copyrighted content has been detected in your video episode 145. Actually, that was YouTube itself. The Gamers Week heartwarming holiday special. As a result, your video can no longer be monetized and has been blocked in one territory. This is not a copyright strike and does not affect your channel. Oh, no.
I know.
Oh, we're going to lose out on all.
I know.
Oh, yeah. So much money we make from YouTube.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
No. All right, so why don't we go ahead and shout out our patrons?
Sorry. I keep forgetting that. It's my responsibility, and I failed as a podcast
It's only been 3 years, 146 episodes. You're right, though.
And how many mix-ups of Donnie's?
Should have put that in the data. All right, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon: Evo Lust, Rai Secret Best Friend, Gamatroid, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Mega Retro Man, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, Absolutely the Best Podcast, Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dognut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, BNT Zilligai, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Canal, Terry Canair. Oh, Terry's going to rip me a new one.
Yeah, a new canal.
Yeah, there we go. AKL 2020, don't make me pull this car over. Games of Coffee, Hyper Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, the Pixel Pond family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach, huge thanks, Number One Blue Sick Boys fan, John Barron, and Sticker Slappin' Sony. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing, like prizes and giveaways. And you also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, patrons with benefits. Visit it, patreon.com/gamersweek, or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
All right, let's go ahead and move along to our headlines segment.
All right, our headline segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they want to hear about the games you know are bad, but love anyways. Send your answers to email@retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
Blue, are you going to say Kingdom Hearts?
No. See, and here
the look on her face was like murder.
I had this whole introduction planned where I was going to say, you know, how much Ryan was going to love this admission, and I thought long and hard about it. And then you just went and just ruined the whole thing. So no, now I'm not going to say Kingdom Hearts.
You ruined it. You ruined it. Would Marble Madness be considered a bad game?
But you have to, if you love it, I guess.
Right. And I think that from this point of view, I think it would be a majority of people would assume it's a bad game, right? Because you love it. Right. So the consensus is that it's a bad game.
But Simon Asher says, but if I love them, they're not bad.
That's true.
He's got a point.
He's got a point.
But I will say it's like the first ones that come to mind are E.T. from Atari. People assume that it's a terrible game. Once you know how to play it, it's actually really not that bad. You're in a cube basically, right? And the idea is that you always enter the little, caverns or whatever from the top. You don't enter from the side because you can keep dropping in them if you're not careful. Once you know those few things, it's actually a decent game. And as far as an Atari game is concerned, it actually has a plot, a beginning, and an end, right? Versus a vast majority of the Atari games out there, it's just play until you're bored, which is usually about 10 minutes. So
I like that you're saying not that bad or pretty decent. You have not yet said it's good. Or that you love it.
I love E.T. for Atari. How's that?
Oh, there it is. On recording.
Okay. This cavern that you're entering, is it a Terry canal?
Well played, sir. Well played.
Agent Neil says, I played a ton of E.T. as a kid. One of the few games I had on 2600. I agree, it's not that bad. Again, not saying it's good, just that it's not that bad. Simon Asher says, most of us were 5 and didn't know how to read the manual.
Right. Or you're playing the Atari at an aunt or an uncle's house, and they don't have the manual anywhere in sight, and you're like, what the? Nope. Take this out. I'll just go play Pac-Man.
What was the motion you were doing just now?
With the Atari joystick?
Just curious. Yeah. Not going to save that as a GIF.
Blue, what about you? What's a bad game that you love?
I don't know. I only love good games now.
That's a cop-out.
Okay, I mean, I was going to say how much it was going to please Ryan to hear the admission that Kingdom Hearts is a bad game. I'm going to say
it is. The
first one is, I really, really loved the first one. And the first one is the closest to a good game. And then after that, they kind of just, what the are you doing? They just went completely off the rails. I don't know what's happening anymore. I love this series and I don't know what's going on, but I still love it. So Kingdom Hearts for me, it's a weird love affair, but I am in for it still, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, to each their own.
Have you bought every version of it? Because I know that there's like all these really obscure like mobile games and stuff for it too.
No, I do not have all the mobile ones. I have some of them, but not all of them.
Yeah, isn't there like a rhythm one too?
I do have the rhythm one, which I actually really like.
Her facial expression when you asked that question made me think that she did have all the different variants of them. Because she's like, I'm caught.
No, because there's a card game one that I just, as soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, Kingdom Hearts, I want this. Took it home, played it. What the is this? It's not Kingdom Hearts, it's a card game. And took it back the same day, so. Oh, Agent Neil says, I love the card one. Okay, well, to each their own.
Yep. So in this week's headlines, Sega is considering launching its own Netflix-like subscription service for video games. Sega president. I'm reading, like, I'm looking at his name, and all of a sudden, president comes out as president because it's Shuji Utsumi, and I'm President Shuji Utsumi. Sega president Shuji Utsumi told the BBC that such subscription products were very interesting, and his firm was evaluating some opportunities. Some in the industry have expressed concern about the move, telling the BBC it could see gamers shelling out more money on multiple subscription services. It is not just Sony and Microsoft who offer game subscriptions. There are now countless players in the space, with rivals such as Nintendo, EA, and Ubisoft all offering their own membership plans. Sega has been somehow losing confidence, Utsumi said, saying that Sega has been putting too much focus on domestic success in Japan and needs to reestablish itself on a global stage. I want to make Sega really shiny again, he said. Well, you got to polish it. You got to spit polish it.
Give a little hawk to her.
Exactly.
I hate myself for saying that.
See, still relevant.
Oh, God.
I do agree that they need to make Sega a global powerhouse again and not just focus on the Japan market. But doing a subscription service, I don't believe that that's the way to go. Yes, Sega has an expansive library. But the amount of games that Sega has come out with recently, and most of them being Sonic games, if I'm mistaken, please somebody correct me, but I don't believe somebody's going to pay a subscription service just to play the newer Sonic games that you might not even give them the availability to as they first come out. So if you want to start making game after game after game after game, and maybe you have like 15, 20 games per year that you roll out, okay, the subscription service might work then. But now you have another player in the market with a subscription service, and you're going the way of cable TV, where everybody now has their, like, Peacock, Paramount, Max. Everybody has their own. They're taking all their stuff away from, like, the traditional Netflix and everything else and putting it on their own subscription service. And I, for one, am done with that. I don't subscribe to any individual channels or anything like that. It's one thing, and that's it.
Well, and, the only thing that would make this popular, let's be honest, is if they bring back an entire subscription of their old IPs, right? But recently, I've heard that either the president or one of the high-level executives at Sega said that they would not be releasing a Sega Saturn or Dreamcast Mini because, quote-unquote, Sega is not a retro gaming company. So, yeah, thumbs down, exactly. So the only IPs that would ever interest people in a Sega subscription are not their current stuff. It's because it's so thin. They would have to pull in the old favorites. People would get excited about that. So maybe that's what he meant, is that because we're not going to be putting out these minis, is because we're going to make it part of a subscription service where you got to buy it every single week or every month or whatever to log in to play, Seaman for the Sega Dreamcast.
Not Seaman, Seaman.
Seaman, yeah.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So, and I think, it's funny too, because didn't Sega do this once before, like in the early 90s? I think it was called the Sega Channel. Agent
Nil in the chat is already saying Sega Channel 2.0.
Oh, there you go. Yep. So I don't get this move. It doesn't sound like it's something that Sega should be putting their time for, especially when they're talking about the super game, right? That they wanted to bring out, right? They haven't really done much in regards to that. So why would they be shifting into some new territory that they could potentially fail at? So it seems like a strange move if that's the route they want to go. But if I had to wave a wand and say this was the type of subscription I'd be looking for, it would be all of their highlighted games, their best IPs, and in all in one place and dirt cheap, like $1.99 a month or $50 a year, something like that.
Yeah.
And the ability to do save states on it if I wanted to, just all the quality of life things for their games to make it easier, that kind of stuff. That's the only reason.
See, and here I wanted to ask Donnie, you keep saying Sega's going to be back. Is this it? Is Sega back with their subscription channel?
No, not with the subscription channel. And it made me think of what Nintendo is doing with the Sega online stuff. So if Sega comes back and says, okay, well, we think the subscription service is the right move, now they pull all of their stuff away from Nintendo, and if they do it right, then it might be something I could look at.
Yeah,
I know I just contradicted myself, but if you do it right, if you have your entire library, if I'm looking over here at my Sega Genesis collection, Sega Master System, everything Sega, I'm sorry, but if you're telling me I could play the entire Sega library, and if I have to spend $5.99 a month, I'm sold.
I got to be honest with you. I've got a Sega Genesis. What's the term for it? It's where you put all of the ROMs into a cartridge. What the hell is that term?
EverDrive.
EverDrive. I've got a Sega Genesis EverDrive that includes all the Master System games and the Sega games, right? That was not an expensive buy for me. I think it was...
No, it's not.
$50, $60 for the EverDrive, and then you download all of those for... you acquire them in some way.
Legally, of course.
Right, of course. So a flash card, exactly. So are you really going to spend $6 a month when that option is out there that's completely free and isn't going to require a whole lot of extra work from you? And then it's available no matter what. You don't have to log into something each time, it's there. It's available to you. I think the difference would be is if you can improve the quality of life of each one of these games, that might be something. But then again, most ROM, hosting software allows you to do save states. So then again, the question is just where do you want to play it and how do you want to play it? They missed the boat. When Nintendo does that, they brought this together with their Switch. Their Switch is also, you're utilizing it for new games. You're not just buying a Switch as a NES emulator or a Super Nintendo emulator. That would be stupid, for one, because you're paying a subscription, right, for online play, and that's it. That's the other piece to this. The only thing that's going to make this worthwhile is that you can play your friends online in a easily accessible platform. The emulators, you can do them online, but they're a pain in the ass. They always disconnect. They always have problems, right? Because it's not like a truly dedicated server that Sega could potentially put forward. But other than that, I don't see an advantage to the consumer. When everyone else who's playing those games already knows about flashcards, already knows about emulators, and knows where to get them.
But you have those people with the moral compass that say, okay, that I don't want to... I'm just saying, I don't steal, so this is the right thing to do.
And also... this is about more than just Sega's retro library.
Right.
Of course.
I mean, I know that's all that anybody here is really going to think about, but we also have to talk about modern Sega games, Bayonetta, Yakuza. They also own Atlas, which has all the Persona games.
That's true.
They own Rovio, which has Angry Birds, and they have a really strong arcade presence, especially in rhythm games. And if they wanted to port those over to consoles or to some sort of mobile platform, I think they would work really well. It just would be what on earth are they planning for this is kind of the bigger question.
Right.
What would be on offer? So Sega's library is big enough, I think, to sustain a subscription service. It's just, are they going to run it right is the biggest question.
Have they been running things right for the last 3 decades?
They had some bumps in the 90s, okay? A small set of bumps in the 90s.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
Hopefully those bumps went away.
They've been doing it great. No notes. And the bumps went away after the antibiotics. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hybrid Divide says, any service like that will never, ever be as good as we'd imagine because of IP issues. Sure, it might have Sonic, but maybe not Gunstar Heroes. It certainly won't have NHL 94, Tecmo Bowl, or Madden, or Castlevania Bloodlines, etc. IP issues will leave giant holes in any service like that, which is the same that we've seen with Nintendo.
Right.
Yeah, some of the weirdest things that they've brought out on the NES and Super Nintendo library for their online service. Mm-hmm. You're like, that game? Really? You know?
Yeah, they end up trying to fill those holes with games that nobody wanted anyway. And it was like, oh, I forgot that existed until you threw it up there.
Right. All right, moving on to the next topic of the evening. Grand Theft Auto publisher Take-Two Interactive still hasn't revealed the GTA 6 release date, and other publishers are reportedly refusing to commit to 2025 until they know they can avoid it. Anonymous sources familiar with publisher deliberations told Bloomberg that the anticipation for Rockstar Games' next big title is so high that it's causing ramifications for the rest of the video game industry. GTA 6 is currently scheduled for a vague fall 2025 release, but many are cautious of a delay since Rockstar hasn't said anything about the game in over a year. Publishers therefore want to see if Rockstar will release GTA 6 in fall 2025 or postpone it to 2026, essentially so they can do the opposite. Grand Theft Auto is such a colossal franchise that rivals are scared of it monopolizing consumer attention, and GTA 6 in particular is expected to be the best-selling game of all time. The GTA 6 trailer surpassed Minecraft to become the second most watched video game trailer of all time, with more than 168 million views in the first 3 months. And I suddenly see somebody trying to sue or have a lawsuit for the attention of the monopolization. And I'm like, we are a society of idiots, but there is somebody who's going to do it.
We are a society.
She didn't have, there were no additional context, therefore no notes. Congratulations.
Right.
Nicely done. This just reminds me of how they used to release movies back in the day. So if you're talking like the 90s, where they would have the blockbusters over the summer, right? And then they would have the Christmas movies, right? And then everywhere in between, if your movie wasn't going to garnish as much attention as those blockbuster movies, you would release them in that gap time, right? So it was nice.
Right.
Some of those other movies kind of got attention,
Gotta fill the gap,
if you will. Exactly. So all of a sudden, those moviegoers are saying there's nothing to watch, but hey, you know what? I'll watch this small indie film, whatever. Nowadays, games release all the time. I mean, we do an episode every single week, and there are games releasing. I mean, sometimes they're harder to find than others, but nonetheless, games release all the time, and therefore, you being able to garnish people's attention becomes harder and harder because there's just so much content out there for people to get involved with. So I totally get why other companies are saying, hey, we don't want to be in the same breath as these big games because there's no way. It's like going into a concert trying to have a conversation with people, right? When there's a band playing up there, right? There's nothing that's going to you're not going to be able to reach as many people as you want. So I get it, but that sucks being a game developer and not being able to get your game out on time. Imagine how much money you're potentially losing as well because you're extending out time frames. You're upsetting your current customers who want your games earlier than, and we know everybody has so many issues with patience when it comes to game releases. So it sucks, but that's, I guess, the nature of AAA titles like this one, right?
I mean, it feels like a game of chicken, basically. Like, whose game is bigger? And obviously, GTA 6 is the biggest game that's come out since GTA 5. And so it's like, how similar is your game to GTA 6? And if your game is some sort of open world, third person, like sandbox game, then yeah, you don't want to release anywhere near it. But I guess I don't see why it should. And it doesn't really give that many details, the story that we have here. But if your game is not an open world sandbox third person game, I don't see why this should affect you whatsoever. In fact, as popular as GTA 6 is going to be, it's not for everybody. I mean, it's probably not for me. I'm not going to buy it. So whatever other games are releasing that week are going to get my attention. And if I'm putting out a game that is not like GTA 6, then hell, I don't care. I'm going to release it on my schedule, and I don't care what GTA 6 is doing.
And to your point, I mean, for me at least, GTA 6, I have no interest in because of how GTA games have been in the past, especially from their online community. Extremely toxic and just the hacking. And it leads me to believe that Rockstar didn't care, that GTA 5 had been hacked like crazy, where people were shooting tanks at each other out of guns that they had hacked.
They have way too much money to care.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure most people don't care either. As far as consumers, if you're a fan of GTA 5, you're more than likely going to buy GTA 6. And based off of just the hype alone, people are interested. But for me, at least, that I have no interest in. You know what? I loved GTA 3. I loved Vice City. I loved San Andreas. But as soon as it became like this big online thing, it just lost its luster.
What about the single player stuff?
Which I'm sure the single player campaign is great, but that's half the game, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, because of the online play, it has extended the life of Grand Theft Auto 5. The story and just being able to go in there and play by yourself, listen to the soundtracks, and really just drive around. That's what has helped Grand Theft Auto still have its playability after you've beaten the campaign. Right, so you can get, like, I did this with Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Didn't really care for San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Grand Theft Auto 5, getting in there, and after I've done the main storyline, just dorking around, grabbing an airplane, flying over a military base, and jumping off with a parachute, listening to the soundtracks, and seeing what kind of fun I could get into. And I didn't necessarily have to go and play online. I've tried the online experience, and as soon as I logged in, it was somebody trying to kill me. And I'm just like, this is very anxiety inducing. I'm just going to leave. And I've never been back to the online community. But if they were able to change that, if you could team up with people and do missions and like take down corporations and stuff like that, maybe there's factions and stuff like that you could choose to be a part of, and they could have this whole online maybe almost like an MMORPG like Warcraft used to be, World of Warcraft. I would be interested in that. But as far as like the main storyline, the main single player element, I'm all for Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out. That's a day one buy for me. Not specifically for the online playability, but just for the single player story.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, Hybrid Divide says the single player for GTA 6 should be fun. And You Fall Before Me says, yeah, I'd play online with friends, invite only session, like maybe a game night with close friends, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. Too many people out there trying to be assholes.
Of course.
Yeah.
There's there's a channel I follow on TikTok of somebody who just goes around in Grand Theft Auto 5 online, who's riding a motorcycle, and he'll drive by a vehicle and just reach out and kick it. And that gets the people pissed off. They start chasing him, and then he makes it, basically he's weaving in and out. He ends up making them wreck their cars. And it's the most hilarious thing I've seen coming from Grand Theft Auto 5. There were people just get so pissed off because somebody came by and kicked their virtual car.
I mean, how would that make you feel in real life, though?
Well, I would go to jail if I tried to chase them down and get retribution.
GoldenEye says, yeah, people were trying to kill me when I played online as well. My online play is shorter than RGB playing Souls legs.
Ooh.
Oh.
That made me laugh. That made me laugh. I will admit that. I laughed at that. So
it's
well done,
a deep
sir.
burn. It's a deep burn.
Alrighty, next up, the directors of Grand Theft Hamlet, a surprisingly heartfelt and unsurprisingly hilarious machinima movie. Did I pronounce that right?
Machinima.
Machinima?
Machinima? The cinema. Machinima. Movie that takes place entirely within the world of Grand Theft Auto, believed that Shakespeare was, in fact, the Grand Theft Auto of its time. Shakespeare was mass popular entertainment, says Penny Grills, who co-directed the film with her husband, Sam Crane. People would have been drunk in the audience, throwing apples at the actors if they weren't good. That's assault, brother. It would have been bawdy and violent, but also beautiful and poetic. That's what we found inside Grand Theft Auto. Technically, Grand Theft Hamlet is a documentary just with exploding CGI heads instead of traditional talking heads. To prove the game's cinematic qualities, Crane and Grills envisioned a live stream of the play that would be carried out by a troupe of online gamers who met at the same point in the map, and then recite the bard through their customized form while dodging bullets and flamethrowers from outsiders, trolls, and anyone playing GTA in the traditional fashion. Will they find enough participants? Will the actors turn up on the day? Will Crane and Grills' marriage survive the pandemic? Grand Theft Hamlet will stream globally on MUBI, MUBI, in early 2025.
Where's MUBI? What's that?
I have no idea. This is British stuff, I assume. I should Google that.
Can I get an egg a MUBI muffin? from
Man,
movies.
You totally stole my joke.
Oh, sorry, man.
Let's go. It's okay. It's okay. As long as somebody said it, I'm okay with this.
When great
So
minds think
MUBI-
alike, it's not stealing.
Wait. MUBI is a global over-the-top service streaming platform, production company, and film distributor. MUBI produces and theatrically distributes films by emerging and established filmmakers, which are exclusively available on its platform. The catalog consists of world cinema films such as art house, documentary, and independence films.
Man, that was word salad.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
Yep.
Frank says, did Internet Explorer write that article?
Well played, sir. Well played.
I mean, it's been, not to age myself too much, but it's been like 20 years since film school, but there's still kind of like this little part of me that has a deep love for highbrow, very like documentaries that are too smart for the rest of you. And so this sounds like right.
This platform seems right up your alley.
Yes, exactly. I 100% want to watch this, and I've never heard of MUBI before today, but I am going to check it out when Grand Theft Hamlet comes to MUBI. And
it's going to be happening early 2025. So this is a report back kind of thing.
Yes.
Well, Blue, what's stopping you from making your own independent art film? Since you have all of this film school experience, what's to stop you from doing something?
Perhaps most of my time is taken up by a podcast. I don't know.
You don't need sleep.
I need some sleep.
Like an hour a day, you'll be fine.
I get a full 45 minutes. I slept great.
Yeah.
Just invest in like speed or something, you know? You can take that, right?
Become besties with my local meth dealer. No problem. No problem at all.
Hey, Blue, I noticed a lot of your teeth are missing lately.
Oh, no.
I wish I could get.
Oh! Well, that wraps up the headlines for the week. Let's go ahead and take a look at our main topic for the evening.
All right, from Eurogamer, the best 5 games of 2024. 2024 had been brutal for video games, a medium which has taken a bludgeoning from seemingly all angles. It's been one of the quietest years for AAA games in recent memory, and the toughest for studios of just about all sizes too. But through all of that, there has been a surging, irrepressible wave of brilliant, inventive, utterly joyous video games. This has been a year of survival, but also a year of total out-of-nowhere hits. Here are some of the best games of 2024 ranked.
All right, at number 5, we have Animal Well. Animal Well is the kind of game you dream about. This 2D pixelated puzzle game offers a midnight world filled with nature and strange ruins, but it's also dense, complex, and filled with unlikely secrets. It's one of those special pieces of art that lives with you for such a long time that it starts to feel like a companion.
Number 4 is Silent Hill 2 Remake. Bloober Team's deft Silent Hill 2 remake is quite extraordinary, not only modernizing the beloved survival horror classic with intelligent mechanical finessing and a beautifully forlorn makeover, but expanding and enriching it in genuinely additive ways. Bloober skillfully explores new spaces within the original's immovable structure, all while keeping masterful control of tone, and its bereft malevolence reaches some genuinely terrifying extremes.
Forlorn and bereft.
Really
didn't
understand a word they said, man.
We're getting paid by syllable tonight.
Apparently. Number 3, Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 released at the height of the industry's period of catastrophic layoffs as publishers scrambled to adapt to a changing post-pandemic industry and as analysts went into desperate search for answers of what exactly makes for success. And Helldivers 2 had the answer: gameplay. Above trends and fashions and the not-so-sure things, and great gameplay comes from innovation first. From giving developers time and space and the means to take a gamble, the result of a kind of grand divine comedy playing out across battlefields, regions, and planets.
At number 2, we have Astrobot. With Astrobot, Sony has made people feel good about PlayStation, not just in the current moment, but over their lives with the console. Big budget blockbuster narrative experiences have won PlayStation awards and millions of users, but Astrobot made me and many others connect on a fundamental level.
Did you plan this so you could read that one?
I did not. It was
I call bullshit.
Fate.
Design fate. And number 1, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. The biggest surprise success story of 2024, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a game that snuck into our collective hearts, walloped us over the head with its guitars, fly swatters, and dusty brushes, and instantly won us over with its roguish charm and winning smile. This is a game that fully understands what Indy is, both as a character and as a series, placing us firmly in the baggy beige trousers of this whip-cracking adventure.
I never thought Indy's trousers were baggy. Personally. Not that I was
he's just
looking
not
that
wearing
closely.
skinny jeans.
The slim fit. Indy's a slim fit guy.
So how do you guys feel about this top 5?
I don't hate it.
I'm surprised Astrobot is number 2 after getting accolades for being Game of the Year.
Yeah, but if Indiana Jones hadn't missed the cutoff for Game of the Year, I feel like we probably would have had a completely different ceremony than what we had.
Will Indiana Jones be available or eligible to have Game of the Year for 2025?
Yes, but it came out so early, it's going to face an uphill battle, I feel like, trying to remain...
Especially if Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out.
Exactly,
right.
Trying to remain in the front of voters' minds, of the influencers and all that, so...
Yeah.
Good luck with that. But hopefully it got enough sales over the holiday season to make up for that.
Am I the only person that has not heard of Animal Well before today?
I haven't heard of it.
Thank you. Okay.
I've heard of it. Okay. It's a Metroidvania. It's a 2D puzzle game. It's the kind of thing that immediately I should have bought on release day. The thing that held me back from it was hearing that you needed to rely on the community to band together to solve certain puzzles. And I was like, I don't want that. I want to play my game my way. I don't want to have to rely on the community to solve the puzzles. So that's the reason that I never bought it. But I have heard absolutely nothing but good things about it. And so it is probably something that deserves more of my attention than it's gotten so far. Agent Neil says, loved Animal Well, was my goatee.
Did we cover this game on a new release segment at some point? Because it looks like, when I look at the screenshots, it looks familiar.
Right.
And the dark color tone or in color palette, that stands out to me. Almost like a little Hollow Knight-ish.
See, again, something that I should have been all over, but it was the community aspect where I was like, no, I don't want a community.
Yeah, let me solve the puzzle my own way, or if I wanted to team up with somebody, do a co-op, sure, give me that choice, but don't tell me that I'm forced to do this stuff.
And I did read something about one of the biggest puzzles in the games that took months and months and months, and like countless members of the community to work together to solve, which is wonderful, I guess, if you're trying to accomplish a certain thing with the game. But for somebody who just wants to play alone, it was not what I was looking for out of a puzzle game.
I am surprised that Metaphor ReFantasio wasn't listed here, but a remake was.
Well,
because the remake is awesome.
The remake is awesome. And I guess because we went into 2024 saying, what is even coming out this year? There were no headliner games when we made our predictions at the beginning of the year. We're like, I don't know what to pick. There's nothing that's a standout game. And I think sitting at the end of 2024, we had far more better games than we expected to have. And there's not enough to fit into a top 5.
Right.
Having not played Animal Well, I can't say that it's not deserving to be there, but I don't know what other game you would kick out to put Metaphor in the top 5.
Yeah, and like Wukong, which was up for Game of the Year, that's not even on there.
Mm-mm.
Right.
So, so based on this list, how many of these games have you guys played?
2.
Okay.
1.
Which I'm assuming was Silent Hill 2 Remake and Astrobot.
Yes, Silent Hill Remake, Silent Hill 2 Remake, and Astrobot. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle I will be playing. come spring when it ports to PlayStation. Helldivers 2 is a
Right.
shooter, so not up my alley. And Animal Well, as I just said, something I need to play but haven't yet.
Ryan?
Astrobot. Got deep into Astrobot.
Okay.
Lot of fun.
Super deep?
Super.
Hashtag
As
deep.
deep as I could possibly go. Which maybe isn't that deep.
I've only played 2 of them. Actually, I'm sorry. I've only played one of them, the Silent Hill 2 remake. We have Astrobot downstairs. My kids love it. I got that for my youngest son, and he absolutely loved that game. And he's beaten the DLC for it and all that stuff. Helldivers 2 was never on my radar because it's all the whole constant like waves of aliens and stuff that you're fighting. But I'm down for playing at least 3 games here. Silent Hill 2 Remake, Astrobot, and definitely Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I, along with Blue, will just have to wait until the spring whenever it comes out on the PS5.
I will definitely be playing Indiana Jones. Absolutely. I watched Ducks play it on stream. It looked fantastic. And again, super impressed with the voice acting.
Yes.
Trey Barker. Damn.
Troy.
Well done. What did
Trey
I say?
Park. That guy too.
Trey?
That guy too.
Oh, Troy. I'm sorry.
And Rambowski says, Happy New Year's, guys. I just started playing Astrobot yesterday, and like you all say, it was a lot of fun. Wukong is visually beautiful game too, but it could be frustrating at times.
All right, next up from Metacritic. Oh, sorry. Never mind. That's not my read.
Next up from Metacritic, the worst video games of 2024. On this page, we rank the lowest scoring games released for any platform between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024 in North America, because we require 4 reviews from professional critics to calculate a Metascore. Any titles with fewer than 4 reviews are excluded. Number 5, Metal Slug Attack Reloaded, Metascore Critic 48. The action shooter franchise Metal Slug is reimagined as a tower defense game in this summer's release for the Nintendo Switch that strips out all of the monetization elements from a previously released mobile gacha game, but frequent ridiculous difficulty spikes, in the words of Touch Apple, echoed by other reviewers, now without any way to buy your way to leveling up, mean that you'll need to spend hours grinding away to make much progress.
Just hours grinding away.
Ain't nothing wrong.
Number 4, Transformers Galactic Trials with a Metacritic score of 45. Transformers Galactic Trials is overpriced and full of nothing. The gimmick of switching between vehicular racing and robotic shooting might have worked if both halves weren't so thoughtlessly welded together like a shoddy cut and shut car. Then again, its meager content and technical sloppiness suggests it never had a chance, says the Jimquisition.
Number 3, Stranger Things VR, Metacritic score of 44. You play as 4th season enemy Vecna and enter the dreams of other characters in this virtual reality adventure set in the world of Netflix's hit series. But fans of Stranger Things shouldn't get too excited. Gameplay is repetitive and boring when it exists, and there are numerous places where interactivity is at a minimum, while the narrative is similarly lacking.
Number 2, Happy Funland. The VR horror adventure for the PS5, also available for PC-based VR systems, finds you exploring an abandoned theme park with a grisly history. The decent humor and concept are more than balanced out, but the game's many technical deficiencies that left the critics seriously unhappy.
And number 1, Utopia City with a Metacritic score of 23. Metacritic's worst game of 2024, and yes, we really mean 2024. It was released in Europe in 2006, but Americans were spared the horrors of Utopia City until, inexplicably, just last month, when the game suddenly arrived on Steam. A first-person sci-fi shooter set in a dystopian virtual future world, Utopia City promises massive combat scenes and an absorbing storyline. What it delivers, according to now 18-year-old reviews, is a Matrix-light narrative, bleak even by 2006 standards visuals, and an overall lack of imagination.
I kind of love the fact that this came out and that this is part of this list. Mm-hmm. It's so funny that... And it came out in what, 2006? That's hilarious.
2006.
And it was bad for 2006.
It was already bad in 2006. I mean, in some ways you could say this is a kind of genius because you can take, what is this, a 19-year-old game and try to give it a new life by porting it over to Steam and saying, look, it's so bad, it's good. I don't know what the price is, but if it's like $3-4, you could buy it, do a stream of this, and have a really entertaining couple of nights about how bad it is, and manage to squeeze a little more life out of this game that was clearly a failure when it released.
It's like produced by Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, hi, Mock. So how many of these games have you guys played?
None.
Yeah, big fat zero.
Big fat zero.
But I am disappointed that Metal Slug got treated so dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Transformers as well. Actually, look at this. Three IPs that I love.
Yeah, there's 3 very interesting names in here. Metal Slug, Transformers, and Stranger Things. Just completely bombing.
I remember when we covered the Metal Slug game.
That was
and
different.
I'm like,
That was Metal Slug Tactics.
That was different?
That was a different Metal Slug game. Hang on, let me look up that.
So not only have we turned Metal Slug into a tactics game, it was also a tower defense game.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah. Things that shouldn't be.
Nothing will beat the run and gun of original Metal Slug. And if you try to do it anything else, that's perverted.
And we hate perverted things.
Depending on the topic, yes.
So Metal Slug Tactics has a 78 on Metacritic. And the one that I expected to see here but did not was Concord. But I looked it up, and Concord has a Metacritic score in the low 60s, as opposed to this Metal Slug Gotcha game, which has 48. So, I mean, Concord was almost genius level compared to these 5 games.
I mean, I would have put all my money on it that the reason Concord wasn't included is because it didn't have enough reviews, but that's mind-blowing that it's in the 60s. I mean, at least you would know it's a crap game, but nonetheless, I would have thought a game that got pulled after 2 weeks would have been bombed as far as reviews are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of leads more to the thing of it was a mid-game that nobody asked for, and Sony didn't even try to convince people that it was otherwise.
I don't think I've played any single game on here. None of them sound like something I would want to touch, except for Stranger Things VR. If you're telling me that I can be in the Stranger Things world, just for a little bit without having the feeling of losing my lunch all over the place. That's something I would like to at least step inside and kind of take a look around. The high school, what's the name of the city that they live in? Mandrake Falls? No, Mandrake Falls is from Big Daddy. I
was like, that sounds familiar. And then all of a sudden it was West Chesterton, Fieldville, Iowa.
Yeah. I thought you were going to nod your head like, yeah, that sounds right.
Hawkins,
Indiana. There you go. The city of Hawkins. To be able to step into these environments or these worlds that are on the big screen and that you get, you have a connection with, that says something. And if I have the ability to do that, yeah, okay, the game's probably shit, which is what they say. But if it's like 99 cents to go in there and kind of walk around the world, yeah, I might throw like $1 or $2 at it. But if they've nailed it where it says like the gameplay isn't there, everything is repetitive, or really it doesn't even exist, I don't even want to. That's a huge turnoff. Hawkins to it.
Yeah, your vote before me says Hawkins to it. Tis. Well done.
All right, we're back, and now it's time to move on to our top 3 new releases.
All right, first up, we have Far Away on PC. In this single-player puzzle game, control a shooting star who is constantly on the verge of vanishing, but keeping itself alive by harvesting energy from the stars and creating constellations. Players have to tame the smooth, flowing controls of swinging and slingshotting while weaving an energy string and connecting it to the stars. Next up is Hollow Home out on PC. Hollow Home is an isometric narrative RPG about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Playing as 14-year-old Maxim, the game begins on the eve of Russia's full-scale invasion, with what turns out to be the last 24 hours of his carefree childhood. As you wake up the next morning to the sound of falling bombs and incoming artillery, Max's new reality is trying to stay alive as Russian forces wipe out his city. Learn survival skills, build relationships, and face tough choices as each passing day brings new tragedies and destruction to your childhood home. Next up, The Legend of Cyber Cowboy. PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch and PC. Liberate a town from gangs of cybernetic bandits. The Legend of Cyber Cowboy is a top-down twin-stick shooter presented in slick pixel art style. The Wild West gets even wilder with the development of cybernetic technology, and it's up to you to take down the bandit gangs turning this tech against the honest and hardworking locals. Step into the role of a steampunk gunslinger with a mechanical arm and loads of enhanced weaponry at your disposal. So out of these three, what are you in for, Ryan?
So looking at Far Away, I want to be like Tom Hanks in Big. Like, I don't get it. So I watched the trailer on it, and I don't know what you're doing. Like, I've tried to understand it. Yes, I get that you're trying to create constellations, but why? Like, I really don't understand it. And like, the description was weird and like kind of out there, so I didn't get that. And two, I'm going to be super pedantic here, but shooting stars are debris from space that's interacting with our atmosphere. Shooting stars.
We're gonna do this. We're really gonna do this.
Yes, we're doing this right now. If you wanted to say like a rogue star or something like that, I would be more happy with that. But the term shooting star just irked me a little bit. So that's a no for me. Just from that alone.
From that alone.
Unless you know you're going to make a game with astronomy involved, then I don't want to be a part of it.
Because all astronomers eventually go on to become game developers.
Of course.
And vice versa.
Which brings me to Hollow Home. I think pre-pandemic, I would have been totally emotionally ready for something like this. But post-pandemic, this just seems really heavy for me. It's awful, right? The subject matter about what your 14-year-old kid has to go through, what essentially is a real life thing that is happening, and that many people have experienced this reality themselves. So emotionally, it would be difficult for me to even like separate myself from the fact that this is a game. So I don't know if like I said, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready for it. Pre-pandemic, I guess I would have been more interested in something like that, but just my battery for emotions has really drained in the last 5 years. So while I'm sure this game is going to be fantastic, it actually looks pretty good too. It reminds me a little bit of like The Sims a bit, but with I think better graphics, or maybe more aesthetically appealing graphics. But still, I think it's too much for me. Which leads me to Legend of Cowboy or Cyber Cowboy. It looks a lot like Smash TV, and I love Smash TV. So I could use more of that in my life. You know, when we were talking about the fact that beat 'em ups have been getting a little bit tired, this might be the antidote to beat 'em up fatigue for me, is to go into a twin stick shooter, play a little bit of steampunk cowboy gunslinger Smash TV. So I think Legend of Cyber Cowboy is going to be the one I'll go for this week.
Okay. What about you, Donnie?
So starting with Far Away, it looks interesting. Puzzle games are something like I'm always interested in picking up. And most of the time I end up putting them down because I feel so stupid because I can't figure them out. So, but based on some of the gameplay, that looks appealing, but definitely not like a day one pickup for me. Hollow Home, the first feeling that I get from this game is Shadowrun for the Super Nintendo. It is an isometric RPG, which just it looks exactly like this. But I mean, if you strip away the cyberpunk themes, and well, there you have it. You have Home Away, or Hollow Home. I love a good story. So because it's the isometric RPG stuff that I love, coupled with what could potentially be in this story, I definitely might play this, but it's not a 100%. If it were something involving space, probably wouldn't. Like I don't do sci-fi in that sense with a lot of space stuff. But Cyberpunk, yes. This storyline, maybe like Ryan says, it kind of like hits a little bit close to home. You're really not sure what you're going to get with this, and I don't want to end up as a crumpled mess on the floor crying my eyes out because something happened that I just like kind of like connect with. So this is a maybe, but I definitely want to check it out. No, that's a maybe, but I'm thinking I want to check it out. Which leaves us to the because I just contradicted myself. That's a maybe, but I definitely want to check it out.
You've never contradicted yourself before on this show.
No,
I don't know
no.
what you're talking about.
That should be a whole show of me finding all the contradictions that I've made. Which leaves us with the Legend of Cyber Cowboy. This, like, I'm looking at it, and like Ryan says, it looks almost identical to Super Smash TV. And when I'm looking at it too, like I'm getting waves of a Link to the Past nostalgia from the designs and stuff like that. So I love twin stick shooters. We don't have enough of these games. And I'm not really burnt out on the whole beat 'em up genre. I don't feel like I've played enough beat 'em up games recently. There are a ton of them out there. The only one that I played was Streets of Rage 4. I need to play the other ones, but this one looks amazing to me. And because of my love of Super Smash TV, I think I'm going to pick this one up. I'm going to choose this one as my definite pickup of the week.
Nice. Blue, what about you?
So Far Away, I do love me a puzzle game. This one does not quite have me on board, though. I'm not sure what we're trying to do here. I know the trailer is trying to be very deep about like embracing the moment, and your life may be short, but make the most of it, kind of a thing. And I can get on board with that, but I don't think I'm going to buy this one and actually play it. Hollow Home, much like the guys said, it seems really heavy, and while the subject matter may be very important and may be very valid, it doesn't look like it's actually fun to play. And I just don't know if after the last several years, if I am, like Donnie said, emotionally ready for something like this. Maybe before all of the last several years had happened, maybe I'd be more prepared for something like this. But I think a lot of us have learned over the last several years when you need to unplug from reality. And video games are an area where I unplug from reality. So as good as this game may end up being, as important as the story may end up being, well, I support it. I'm probably not going to buy it. So that leads us to Legend of Cyber Cowboy. Looks great. I'm not a super fan of twin stick shooters, but I can appreciate what they're trying to do here. However, I think I would probably rather play something more like Kill Knight than Cyber Cowboys. So if I had to pick one of them, Cyber Cowboy, but reality, not going to pick any.
Have you ever seen the German guy who's got the TikToks? He's a German in America, but like all these American sayings. And one of them was like
party pooper.
Yeah, that guy. It's like this, whatever tickles your fancy. And I don't want you to tickle the fancy. I don't want your fingers tickling my fancy anywhere.
We could do a stream where you talk like that guy the entire time, please.
Yes, please.
Of doing the Germans speakings in the American ways while we're doing the streamings. Okay. And before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about the sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week's question is...
I'm so sorry to our German listeners.
If you could own the complete physical library for one console, which would you choose? Let Will know your answer by sending him a tweet at The Gamers Looks at 40 on the Twitters.
Oh my god, my face hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Super Nintendo. That is the easiest question I've ever been asked in my entire life. The answer is Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Okay.
No question, huh?
None.
Damn.
Yeah, I think I originally was like, trying to decide back and forth between the NES library and the SNES library. I think the NES library has the more valuable games, but if we're talking about what I actually want to play, it's the Super Nintendo. So I, unfortunately, am agreeing with Ryan.
Okay, so let me do a little bit of searching here.
GoldenEye says, "We will ask the questions."
We will be asking the questions. So, oh God, this was a tough one for me. When you look at just how many titles are in each library, like the Sega Genesis, the Super Nintendo, and the regular Nintendo, you've got, I think, 1,700 in the Super Nintendo, 1,700 in the NES as well. But it's not about collector value. It's not about price. It's about overall what games are going to be fun to play. At least that's the way I took this question. And man, there are a ton of games for the regular NES that are fun, but there are a lot that are not. The same thing with the Super Nintendo, but I think with the better visual quality, the leap from 8-bit to 16-bit, then I've got to go to the Super Nintendo as well. Like Sega Genesis, like right there, there's that toss-up, the SNES, NES, and the Sega Genesis. And because of the way things look so much better on the Super Nintendo, I would choose that over the NES. But when you compare the SNES and the Sega Genesis, I can't. That's like having me shoot one of my... one lives, one dies, and I will not make that decision. It's one of those two.
Sophie's choice here.
Right. Well, it's like Frank said in the chat way earlier, Sega, if you lose Donnie's support, you've lost 50% of your audience.
Hey, I don't like that.
Is it untrue?
There's so many more people that love the Segas. Come on. I'm not just
Segas.
one of two people. Yeah. They love the Segas. They love the Segas.
Loves the Segas.
Loves the Segas.
Which loves the Segas. But if you want me to, because of only 879 officially licensed games for the Sega Genesis and the 1,700 games for the SNES, I think I will make the decision right here on the stream for the Super Nintendo library.
Well said.
Oh, I love the giggle, Ryan. I love it.
I think I might like this voice better than your own.
Hey.
UFO before me says Donnie's back hurts from carrying Sega so hard.
Doctor says I need a backiotomy.
All right, well, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats, and welcome to Professor Rybread's Gaming History 101, and today's January 1st, and this marks the 3-year anniversary of Gamers Week podcast, and that means for 146 episodes, we have made love to your ear holes with gaming industry analysis, playful banter, and educational short stories about gaming's past. So I feel like it's only the right time to look back at this section of the podcast and review my favorite Gaming History 101 segments. And what I'll be doing is I'll be including the episodes in case you missed one or any of them or just wanted to kind of relive the nerdy stories. But here are my top 10 in reverse chronological order. So here's number 10, the Condor Cluster, which is episode 130. So the PS3, with its powerful processor and ability to run Linux, was used to create a supercomputing cluster known as the Condor Cluster, which was utilized by institutions like the United States Air Force. The cost-effective approach demonstrated that the non-traditional computing resources could achieve impressive results in high-performance tasks. However, the project faced challenges like hardware failures and the eventual removal of Linux, leading to its decline as more advanced supercomputing options became available. Number 9, Peter Molyneux, episode 103. Oh, Peter. Peter Molyneux is known for his ambitious game ideas that he often promised more than he could deliver, such as claims about Fable and Project Milo, which were later revealed to be exaggerated or outright staged. He started his career in gaming by developing text-based games and later founded Bullfrog, where he created influential titles like Populous, which helped shape the God Sim genre. Now, despite his creativity, though, Molyneux's tendency to overpromise and underdeliver led to a reputation for unreliability, and as seen with the failed Goddess project and numerous other unfulfilled promises. We'll say he's not malicious, but his enthusiasm is often outpaced by his ability to execute, making future projects he's involved with a cautious investment. Number 8, my top 10 most influential women in gaming, and that is episode 88. The list highlights 5 influential women who have shaped the video game industry in unique ways. One broke gender barriers in esports, while other rose through the ranks at a major game company, contributing to Dragon Quest. A third helped create the iconic game Portal. A fourth innovated in educational games with the Sumerian game. And the fifth one is one of the first female developers, remembered for her work on River Raid and advocacy for developer recognition. Number 7 is Satoshi Tajiri, episode 51. Satoshi Tajiri is the creator of Pokemon and began his journey with a love for bug collecting, which later inspired his iconic game concept of capturing and trading monsters. After years of struggle and development, including creating his own gaming magazine and working with other projects, Tajiri's Pokemon became a massive success, spawning games, an anime, and a global phenomenon. Tajiri's story is a testament into following one's passions and creating something that resonates deeply with millions despite the odds. Number 6, Kenji Ino, episode number 47. Kenji Ino was highly intelligent and eccentric Japanese game developer known for his rebellious marketing and unique game designs. He founded the company Warp, where he created memorable games like D and Enemy Zero and Real Sound, and the later being developed specifically for blind players. Despite his innovative contributions to the gaming industry, Ino's company closed in 2000, and he passed away in 2023, leaving behind a legacy of boldness and creativity. Number 5, motion controls, episode 43. Motion controls in gaming have evolved significantly since their early attempts, starting with the Atari MindLink in 1984, which used a headset to detect forehead movements but failed to make it to the market. In 1989, the Power Glove and other similar accessories like the U-Force and Sega Activator introduced motion controls with limited success due to poor functionality. And it wasn't until the 2006 release of the Wii's Wiimote, using IR sensors and accelerometers, that motion control gained mass appeal, followed by the Kinect in 2010, which tracked full-body movements, helping both the Wii and Xbox 360 achieve major success. Number 4, Jerry Lawson, episode 39. Jerry Lawson, the inventor of the cartridge-based video game, played a key role in the development of the Fairchild Channel F, which introduced interchangeable cartridges for home consoles, and he began becoming interested in tinkering with electronics as a kid, and that led him to work at Fairchild Semiconductor, where he helped create Demolition Derby and was instrumental in adapting home video game prototype into the Channel F. Although the system was overshadowed by the Atari 2600, Lawson's pioneering work in video game hardware and his legacy as an African-American engineer continues to inspire the gaming industry and future generations. Number 3, Nintendo versus Tengen lawsuits. Episode 28. And in the 1980s and 90s, Tengen, a subsidiary of Atari Games, took on Nintendo in a series of legal battles, starting with their attempt to bypass Nintendo's restrictive licensing system by reverse engineering the 10NES chip. This led to a court case where Nintendo accused Atari of violating copyright, ultimately ruling in Nintendo's favor due to Atari's unclean hands after they illegally obtained the chip's code. Another key battle was with the rights for Tetris, where Tengen sued Nintendo for distributing the game on the NES, but were forced to recall and destroy their copies after losing in court, ultimately making the Tengen version of Tetris a rare collector's item. Number 2, Saint Giga, episode 9. The Satellaview was a service launched by Saint Giga in the 1990s that allowed Japanese players to download and play exclusive Super Famicom games via satellite broadcasts. After Nintendo bought a controlling stake in Saint Giga, the service featured live challenges, downloadable games, and remakes of the classics like The Legend of Zelda, and added content and voiceovers. Despite its unique offerings and 100,000 daily users at its peak, the service ended died in 2000 after Nintendo withdrew support. And number 1, Gunpei Yokoi, episode number 2. Gunpei Yokoi was a Japanese inventor and designer who specifically shaped Nintendo's success, starting with toys like the Ultra Hand before creating the Game Boy and other iconic systems. His philosophy of using established technology in new ways led to the innovative creations such as the Game & Watch, Metroid, and the Game Boy. Despite his later struggles with the Virtual Boy, Yokoi's legacy remains crucial in the gaming industry, and his impact is still felt through Nintendo's success with products like the DS and the Switch. So to kind of wrap things up, this was my top 10, but I am curious, A, if you enjoyed the list, and B, if I had missed any from previous episodes. So please let us know by emailing us or tagging us on our social media. And thank you so much for listening for today. So thank you for attending today's Gaming History 101. And just a reminder, if you have any ideas for a story or a topic you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. We might feature your suggestion.
How would they know if you missed something from your top 10?
No, I mean, for their own personal. I'm sorry, you're right. I meant more or less, did I miss one that, was there like a hole in this that I should have seen that I didn't?
I have a bone to pick with Rybread's top 10 of his own gaming history segment. Okay. I really enjoyed the one about Nolan Bushnell and Chuck E. Cheese.
That was, I think, the third one or the second or third one I did too. So
that was
I'm
number
surprised
6.
you even remember.
Episode 6.
Episode 6, nice.
Episode 6. And then we saw, briefly, Nolan Bushnell at PRGE this year.
I would have loved to see Nolan.
Yes, he looked very old.
He looked tired. He's like,
he looked
I'm done.
So very old. And we heard he was going to be there and ran to the spot, and he was surrounded by like 6 feet worth of people, and there was no getting close to him. But if you could peer between the people, you could see he was just a very, very old man at this point.
Well, that's what cocaine will do for you.
And he's probably only 30 years old. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up the first episode of 2025. Thank you for listening to episode 146 of Gamers Week Podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, and Pixel Pond Production Company for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter or Blue Sky at GamersWeekPC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/GamersWeekPodcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. Maybe there will be a new merch store portal platform coming in 2025. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. And finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. And while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. And we will be having bumper stickers this week or this year that say, if you're going to do the crime, make it funny. I am looking forward to that bumper sticker. I will rock that mother effer.
Is there any sort of liability we should be concerned about with a bumper sticker like that?
That's a good call. Yeah. Somehow you're going to end up in a court case and be like, well, I saw this bumper sticker that was encouraging me. I took it as legal advice.
Right. So I made the crime as funny as possible.
That's why I'm wearing this outfit, sir.
Right. That's why I got this big bottle of seltzer water that I just sprayed in your face.
Right. That's why the body had 7 bananas shoved up their ass.
But seriously, we would have to put some sort of like disclaimer in very small print at the very bottom of the bumper sticker to cover our ass. I'd be fine with that.
Not to be taken as legal advice. Just an asterisk, not to be taken as legal advice.
Right.
Well, everybody, thank you very much for hanging out with us tonight and starting your New Year's off right with us. We will be back on Monday where we will do an uncut episode, and then next Wednesday live for another live episode performance.
Thank you, everyone, so much for hanging out. We hope you have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.
See you next week, guys. Why do I talk? Why do I talk?
Because we love it when you put your foot in your mouth.
So big.
That's why we love it.
The size 15. Oh.
Technically, my foot is a foot.
Really?
It's 12 inches, yeah.
So you've put it up against a ruler, and you know this.
I have. I do.
I got to do that. I got a ruler downstairs.
I just think that would be fun to see a picture of. I hate feet, but I just feel like that would be fun to see a picture of.
All right, I'll see what I can do for you.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's dick in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.